All right, guys, welcome to another 10-minute talk. We got myself, Coach Caitlin, and we got Coach Melissa. Coach Melissa, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Actually, kind of a stressful day today, so nice topic for us to talk about today.
Yeah, rolls right into what we're going to talk about today, guys. Today, we're going to focus on stress. And I know that that topic can be a little bit broad, right? And overwhelming, and it might stress you out to think about it. So chill. We're going to break down what is stress. We're going to focus on how does that actually impact our results, because that's really what we care about at the end of the day. And then we're going to get into some strategies that we might use or we might share with our clients that could potentially help you. And we're going to do it all in 10 minutes. So hold on. Really, what I want to start with first is what is stress, right? Because I feel like we all have an idea of what stress is, but we don't actually know what it is. So if you go to our good old friend Google, stress is going to come up as a physical, mental, or emotional response to changes or challenges that we face on a daily basis. So it's completely normal to encounter stress. In fact, life without stress or challenge or change really isn't living, right? We need those things to actually be able to grow and improve. So without stress, we really wouldn't be able to get the most out of our life. And then from a result standpoint, like Melissa, can you get into a little bit of how stress would impact somebody from an emotional standpoint when it comes to staying on track with their fitness or their nutrition?
Absolutely. Stress in general, especially if we're overloaded with stress, is number one, it makes us hungry. Okay, so we release these hormones that actually make us hungrier. And it makes us crave fatty and salty and carbohydrate rich foods. Okay, so this makes it difficult to stay on track. And also emotionally, I know that when I get stressed, and in the past, especially, I was an emotional eater. So if I got stressed in other ways, external stresses, whether it was, personal relationships or work stress or anything like that, I would try to comfort myself by eating. But then that would lead to more stress because then I would feel guilty about that. So, and also if we're overloaded, it makes us tired, right? So we're going to be less likely to get to the gym. If we do get to the gym, we're less likely to put, that effort into that. We're less likely to spend time on the weekend, meal prepping and preparing for the next week. So there's all of these, even non-physical, like you said, emotional reasons why stress can negatively impact what we're trying to do in our health and fitness journey.
Yeah, and you made a lot of really good points there that probably people don't even think about. Like I know for myself, like if I'm having a really, really stressful day, the last thing that I'm thinking about is like, okay, when am I going to get to the gym? Well, maybe for me, it's a little different because that's like my outlet. But for most people who are like getting started on this journey, the last thing that's on their mind when they're super stressed about, oh, I have to get the kids here, I have to do this for work, is like, okay, let me go and get my meal prep and get some chicken and rice instead of like, let me grab a pizza because it's really quick and fast. So obviously like those habits are going to build up over time and you're not going to be able to actually hit your goals if you're not consistent with those habits. So those are really good points. And from a physical standpoint, we can get a little bit sciencey here and kind of go into like what actually happens to our bodies when we do experience stress. So when we're faced with some of those stressful situations, our body's sympathetic nervous system, which a lot of us will know as like that fight or flight response, is going to be activated. And this response is going to trigger all of your stress hormones like cortisol to come from your adrenal glands, right? And these hormones, they're great in that situation because they're going to help our body actually react quickly to a threat. But the problem is that usually there's not an actual threat and it's just we're stressed about work or we're stressed about this and that. And then cortisol is going to get elevated, glucose and insulin get elevated, which can cause issues with chronic disease and inflammation. And inflammation literally is the cause to most chronic illness. So it's going to cause you to be sick. You're going to be inflamed, which is going to cause the scale to go up. You're going to not want to work out because you're going to be in pain. You're not going to sleep well. not going to work out. So, I mean, it's like a never ending cycle. So that's how stress does impact you from like, obviously there's more we can get into, but like baseline stuff, that's how stress is going to impact you and your results. But what are some things that you do, Melissa, or that you recommend your clients do when it comes to, okay, I know I have this stress, but how can I actually manage the stress? Because we can't get rid of it, but how can we manage it?
Right. Something that I do, and I recommend, is, when I first heard of this, I kind of thought it was kooky, but it actually works.
Usually
But
those things work the most.
right. But breath work. And there's lots of apps that you can find that will help you with this. Basically, I lay on the floor on my stomach and relax my face, breathe in, expand my lungs, breathe all the way out. And I do that for 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
I will tell you, because I wear my little Whoop here. Okay. So if I've had a stressful day, and sometimes that breath work is one of the things that gets knocked off my list of things to do on those days. But my little Whoop tells me in the morning that I did not do my breath work, because my recovery level will be in the tank.
Yeah, it's wild actually how the Whoop does that, how it's not just the physical stress, but the emotional stress that people don't recognize that takes a toll.
Yes. So it's all intertwined, but the breath work will activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest, which is what we need to do. We need to reel our nervous system in so that we can actually recover. And I mean, also other things that are good are, meditation, even just sitting quietly and, taking 10 minutes, turn off all your notifications, taking 10 minutes and just to sit with yourself. And, or if there's something that you like to focus on or meditate on, reading is often good for people depending on what they're reading. And then also even just having consistent bedtimes and wake times is also going to reduce some of that stress. I do that for me, and then I also recommend that for my clients too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, like on the breathing and the meditation thing. A lot of people like look over it because it's hard to do, right? It's hard to meditate because most people can't focus on thinking about nothing. Because as soon as you sit down to meditate, you start thinking about all the things that you have to do after you're done meditating, and that's like defeats the purpose, right?
Right.
And then breathing, a lot of people think, oh, it's like this woo-woo shit. But to be honest with you, it literally, just like you said, it relaxes your nervous system. We can control our nervous system through our breath, but most people just don't have the patience to do it. So if you actually focus on like deep diaphragmatic breathing, you're going to see a benefit and you're going to feel more calm because it's going to bring that blood pressure down. It's going to increase the oxygen flow, but it's also going to bring your heart rate down, which is really important, which is why like when you're having a panic attack, you start hyperventilating. So it's the complete opposite. So breathing's good. One thing that I do that you didn't mention was actually like journaling. When I'm super overwhelmed, I'll literally like time out my life and take like 5 minutes. I'll literally set a timer, write down all of the things that are overwhelming me. And then once that timer's done, I'll cross off all the things that I can't control, circle the things that I actually can control, and then think, okay, can I fix this now? Or do I need to like figure out a plan another time? Because usually a lot of people just get stressed because they're overwhelmed, because they're procrastinating, or because they're focusing on things that they can't control.
Right. Yeah. And something that happened to me relatively recently, like in the past several months, it's just that I had an extraordinary amount of stress and I wasn't managing it appropriately. And I started having severe anxiety, which had not been a problem for me ever. Even when my life was, in traumatic periods, I was very stressed, but I didn't have that anxiety. But it got to a point where it finally caught up to me, and my body was like, chick, you need to get your shit together, because I mean, something's got to change, or, and I actually ended up in the emergency room because I thought I was having a heart attack one day.
Yeah. I've been there too, because they feel like a heart attack.
They feel like a heart attack. I was like, this pain is not going away and it feels like something's squeezing my chest. I don't know what this is, but we need to go. And but since I have really made a point to practice the meditation and the breath work every day and all of that stuff, it has made such a huge difference on my level of anxiety.
Yeah.
So it's nearly gone. So I mean, it's amazing what those just taking a few minutes each day can do.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love hearing that from like your personal experience, because I've experienced the same thing. Like I've had like PTSD and I have severe OCD. So I deal with a lot of anxiety. And I find that when I really just focus on what I can control, which is my breath, right? And my journaling and things like that. And I actually focus on managing the stress instead of just getting overwhelmed by the thought of it. It makes such a big difference. Right. So guys, I know that this was a lot of information, but don't get stressed thinking about all these things. Like you're learning how you can manage the stress. You can also manage the stress through focusing on your lifestyle, right? Nutrition, training, sleep, water, all the things that we always preach, those actually help to reduce stress as well. So if you're looking on getting healthier, that's like that foundation. And then you can add in these different stress reducing techniques that we told you and see if they make a huge impact. Because if you're stressed all the time, it's going to be really difficult for you to lose body fat just because of how it works on a physiological standpoint, but also from an emotional and a mental standpoint when it comes to your habits, like Melissa was saying. But yeah, I think that we covered a lot today, and I hope that you guys gathered a lot of good information. Melissa, do you have anything left to say before we head out here?
I don't think so. I think we like you said, I think we covered a lot in a short amount of time. So I think that's about all I have.
Perfect, guys. Well, we will see you next time on a 10-minute talk. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day.